first stop on our discovery of underground architecture takes us to the Aegean Sea and to the Greek island of Antiparos. You love Greece, don't you?
I love it. I've been coming to Greece for 40 years, and I think it's about my favourite place in the world. I think it's the colour of the water, the colour of the sky, and still, it's so unspoiled.
Oh, little white squares still.
Yeah,
exactly as you imagine they're going to be. It's nothing
Totally.
big, nothing breaking the skyline.
There's a rule here that you can only build so far in one direction before you've got to turn or break it down.
Oh, I see. That explains all the little boxes.
Yeah, that's right.
I see.
These historically would have been fishermen's houses and, you know, probably a bit of subsistence farming.
We're heading to a spacious underground holiday home where the owners wanted a contemporary house big enough to entertain their family and friends.
The challenge facing the architects was to design a house with stunning sea views from each of its 9 bedrooms, but at the same time discreetly conceal the building.
I mean, I know we're going to go and see, rather bizarrely, an underground house here.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really odd choice, given that this is some of the most beautiful landscape I've ever seen.
View is a two-way responsibility, and actually, if you build on that to look at the view, you also have to accept that you are making something that people will look at.
Yeah. Well, presumably that's why they've taken this underground option.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, something like 80 or 90% of this house is underground,
Yeah.
which sounds hideous to me because I'm slightly claustrophobic and I can't bear the thought of being underground.
But I think this house is actually designed as a piece of landscape rather than a building.
So you don't think it's going to be dark and dingy and damp and a bit grim?
I hope it isn't, and it would be a real shame if it was.
Helping us locate this coastal hideaway is Theo, who looks after the owner's home for them whilst they're back in the UK.
Welcome to Antiparos.
Thank you very much.
Ευχαριστώ.
Ευχαριστώ.
We're gonna go over to that hill and then down again.
I'm assuming we're not going to get a great big vision of the house because we know that it's 80 or 90% under the ground. So will we see it at all before we get there?
You'll see, it's a bit of a surprise, really.
Oh!
That's where we're going.
Oh, my Lord!
Wow. What a spot.
Oh, what a beautiful place. It's beautiful.
I know.
By hiding the majority of this structure beneath the landscape, the architects managed to create a huge house on this site, which both embraces the view and retains the natural charm of this location.
Now, the owners are not here, but they're very happy for you to have a look around.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Theo. It's really, really kind of you.
Enjoy your time, and I'll see you later.
Thank you very, very
Bye-bye.
much.
So, Caroline, tell me now, looking at this, are you still worried about feeling claustrophobic down there?
Not yet, but I'm not making up my mind. I'm not making up my mind yet, but look at it. It's extraordinarily beautiful. This concealed home sits on a generous 6-acre plot. Around 9,000 cubic metres of earth was excavated from the site, creating a giant crater. A concrete foundation and rear and internal walls were then built in this void 10 metres deep.
The building unfolds on 2 levels to allow space for multiple bedrooms, bathrooms, and terraces with private sea views. Concrete shafts rise up from the rear of the building to allow ventilation and natural light enter the underground spaces. To fit in with the local architecture, Katima's traditional white walls change direction after every 10 metres. The green roof is covered in indigenous plants, allowing the underground living spaces to be invisible, with only the pool terrace and whitewashed walls on view.
These walls look really enticing, don't they? How are you with heights?
Not as good as you.
You should come up, it's great, look.
Ooh, OK.
Caroline, there's all these lovely little terraces and courtyards within here.
And that's such a private space
Lovely,
as well.
And there'll be another one there.
Yeah, another little private space. God, that's clever, isn't it, Piers?
It's a real sense of sort of intimacy, isn't there?
You could be naked reading your book all afternoon.
There's a thought. This is such a lovely, enticing space. I mean, look at this. I don't know whether I'm inside or outside. I thought this was just a canopy of bamboo covering this space, but actually there's glass up there. So you can sit here even when it's raining.
I mean, look at these walls and the shapes and the shadow and the shade. It's so beautiful.
And looking back through there, Caroline, to the sea.
Yeah. This is the dream for me. This is absolutely the dream. It's a kind of a sort of a lesson in how to build a villa in a hot country.
What I admire about the building is that it's a very clever bit of architecture. It's very thorough and really well integrated with this place, and that's why I warm to it so much.
By hiding this modern whitewashed house in the landscape, it not only retains the island's architectural heritage, it also benefits from traditional methods of keeping living spaces cool underground.
I really want to have a nosy upstairs and just work out how it all fits together.
I really want to have a beak about in here.
I'll catch you later.
Okay.
This feels obviously like a really contemporary house, but at the same time, it has the qualities of something that's really ancient, because people have been building in hot countries like this for hundreds and hundreds of years. What they've been doing is building in a way that harnesses the qualities of the ground. And under the ground is a stable temperature. So all of the living rooms in this house are under the ground. What happens then is that that lovely cool sea breeze is used to draw air through those rooms and then out of those shafts, those light shafts that are behind. And those shafts also bring light to the back of the rooms that would also be dark. Unlike a normal house, we can have light coming in from both sides. An underground house can't do that, so you need to bring in light.
This is actually the deepest underground that this house gets. And look, really light.
I think for many years, as architects, we forgot how to do buildings. They really spoke of their place. But this building shows that you can harness ancient technologies and still do a building that is totally contemporary.
I'm loving this. I'm loving this over here. All it is a little bit of light coming down, but it's painted orange, so it just shines out neon. And up there, all I can see is the bright, bright blue of the sky against the orange. It's so beautiful. All my misgivings about an underground house being gloomy and dark and dank have completely disappeared, because this is light and bright and cool, because it's really, really hot out there, and it's just perfect temperature in here. Oh. It's got a lovely ensuite.
Hi, Caroline. You're going to turn the shower on?
Yes!
You might take your clothes off first, but...
The view from here is so Greek. It couldn't be more Greek. It's white walls, and then there's a blue dome, but the blue dome's made out of sky.
This is like some ancient Greek hilltop town, isn't it? Where the buildings are really close together, and all you get is that fantastic view of the sky through the white walls.
It's wonderful. It's so kind of refreshing down here as well. You don't feel like you're baking in the hot sun.
Because actually, this is really a device to bring the air through and get the light in.
The owners of this underground holiday home live in the UK with their 2 children. Karima is in London, so I'm giving her a call to find out what drew her family to this island. Did you fall in love with it straight away?
Straight away. Love at first sight.
Really?
My husband and I think we're just about to be married. And we looked out at the sunset, and that was it. We said we need to see the sunset till the day we die.
Oh, my gosh, that's so adorable.
But in purchasing the land, the couple had also bought into plans for a proposed building for the site, which had already been designed by Portuguese architects Camila Rebelo and Susana Martins.
So you designed this for somebody that hadn't bought it? I mean, this was a speculative house for somebody...
An abstract problem.
Yes.
It was like a bridge. It had a void below the structure, and you could see through.
The plan was a beautiful plan, but it wasn't a plan that suited us as a family. It was quite thin and quite narrow, and we live in a tall, thin house in London, and we were very keen to have something with a bit more space and a bit more light and air.
They wanted a bigger house.
How big?
Double.
Double, yeah.
And these started to change everything.
We spent a year working on those plans. We kept changing them, but it didn't work with the dimensions and the scope that we wanted. It was frustrating.
Was it ever stressful?
Demanding. Let's put it like that, because it was a lot of back and forwards.
And in the end, architects and I threw up our hands and said, you know what, it just isn't working.
You had to abandon one idea, and how did that feel for you?
At the beginning, we were not very happy, but...
It's always difficult to abandon an idea.
And how long did it take you to get to a scheme that was recognizably this?
A minute.
Really? Can you show me the first sketch? I'm interested in that. First sketches are often the purest form of an idea.
We started with 2 broken lines. Also very basic thoughts, like, for example, the Greek amphitheaters. So panoramic places for you to enjoy the view.
What's interesting about this, though, is that it's absolutely the opposite of the previous scheme, which was a bridge hovering above a piece of landscape, whereas this is a piece of landscape. It allows you to conceal a very big building very subtly. But it looks now like a very finished building. The landscape has all grown back. But actually, there must have been huge disturbance to make this building, huge disturbance to the landscape.
In the beginning, I was very scared. When they started the excavations, we are very scared.
It's a massive quarry, and it's huge destruction.
There is always a moment when you feel fear.
Yes.
And that is the moment. When you see this immense crater, you say nature is never to come back the same way. But then it's our role. We are architects. Architecture means to construct, to build.
There's no visible structure here, but tell me, how was it constructed?
These walls are 3-layer bricks.
Traditional brick.
Traditional brick,
traditional brick.
which thermically...
How thick?
It's about 70
centimeters.
And this is very good for thermic reasons.
But this is the way they built here in Greece.
Very thick walls with deep reveals with windows pushed right in.
When the drawings came to life and the structure was built, there were angles I could not have imagined. I knew the footprint of the building and the drawings back to front, but when you looked at certain angles, it was beyond what we had hoped and imagined.
Standing back now, several years later, do you love this building?
I love this building. Totally love this building, yes.
This is what Karima fell in love with. When she and her husband saw this plot of land, and looking at it now, they haven't made a mistake, have they?
No. I mean, this is, for me, what Greece is about. This time of the evening, but facing west, getting the sunset over water.
I defy anybody to look at this view and not think they've found paradise.
Could you sell up and come here?
I think I could, but you'd have to build me a house.
Deal.
Okay.
This view is something that would make me leave my southwest leafy patch at home.
This was Hollywood. I'd be snogging you now.